Hi, everyone! Today, we're diving into a really important topic that deserves a bit more sensitivity: how we communicate with autistic people. There are some phrases and expressions that, even without meaning to, end up being prejudiced and can hurt others. Often, we don't even realize that our words can seem disrespectful or out of touch with the reality of autistic individuals. So, let's look at 15 common mistakes people make when talking to autistic people, and learn how to build a kinder, more respectful way of communicating. Let's get started. 15 common mistakes when talking to autistic people. Avoid these missteps. 1. You don't look autistic. This might sound like a compliment, but it actually disregards the diversity within the autism spectrum. It's like saying that there's a standard or a certain look to autism. It can make an autistic person feel invalidated, as though their condition isn't real or enough. Autism expresses itself in various ways in every person. Some may be very talkative, while others are more reserved. Some have specific hobbies, and others explore a range of interests. The most respectful approach is to accept that autism shows up uniquely in everyone, without reducing anyone to a stereotype. 2. Wow, you're so smart for an autistic person. This comment implies that autism and intelligence couldn't possibly coexist. It's a prejudiced assumption to think that an autistic person can't be smart or handle complex skills. Many autistic people have deep interests and impressive skills in fields like math, music, technology, and more. Others might show practical or emotional intelligence. Rather than judging abilities based on stereotypes, we should see each person individually, recognizing both their talents and challenges without bias. 3. Everyone's a little autistic. This might seem harmless, but it actually diminishes the reality of people who are truly autistic. Autism is not just a quirk that anyone could have. It involves developmental differences and unique ways of perceiving the world that have a major impact on the person's life. Saying everyone's a little autistic can make the challenges autistic people face seem trivial, which is disrespectful. It's better to remember that everyone is different, but autism is a specific condition with unique experiences. 4. You just need to try harder to socialize. Socializing is natural for many people, but for others, especially some autistic individuals, it takes much more effort. This phrase puts unnecessary pressure on the person, as though they are wrong or failing for not acting like everyone else. Instead, it's more respectful to understand that everyone has their own pace and preferences when it comes to interacting. Providing a safe, pressure-free space where the person can be themselves goes a lot further than pushing them to improve at something that may already feel exhausting. 5. There's nothing wrong with you. Although well-intentioned, this phrase can sound confusing. Most autistic people don't see autism as something wrong. They see it as simply a different way of being. Saying there's nothing wrong with you can seem like we're minimizing their identity and experience. It's more welcoming to say you value the person exactly as they are, making it clear that autism is a part of them and not something that needs fixing or improving. 6. You live such a normal life. Here, the problem lies in defining what a normal life is. For many autistic people, life includes challenges that others might not see. And while they might appear well-adjusted, that doesn't mean they don't face difficulties. Respecting what is normal for each person is important because each individual, autistic or not, lives in a way that works for them. Instead of assuming what's normal for someone, it's better to simply acknowledge and appreciate the unique ways they experience life. 7. I know someone with autism, and they're not like you. Autism is a spectrum, which means that every autistic person lives and expresses their autism uniquely. Comparing one autistic person to another can be offensive because it implies that there's a right way to be autistic. Instead of comparing, it's better to focus on understanding that person's experience, remembering that each individual is unique and may have characteristics that are quite different from others on the spectrum. 8. Do you have friends? Friendship might be different for autistic people, but that doesn't mean they don't have friends or don't want to. Asking this can make someone feel like they're seen as incapable of forming bonds, which can be painful. Rather than assuming that friendship is distant for them, the most respectful approach is to let the person share about their friends in their own way if they choose to. 9. I'm sorry for you. Autism isn't a tragedy or a problem. Many autistic people lead full, happy, and meaningful lives. When someone says, "I'm sorry," it can make it seem like autism is viewed as something negative, which isn't fair. A more compassionate approach is to show support without any sense of pity or sadness, valuing the person for who they are. 10. Do you have some special skill, like Rain Man? This is a common stereotype about autism that's often uncomfortable for autistic people. Not all of them have extraordinary skills or super talents, and reducing autism to this idea is very limiting. It's much more respectful not to expect special abilities, and instead to be open to whatever each autistic person wants to share about themselves. 11. Do you need help with that? Offering help is always kind, but it's important not to push it. Many autistic people prefer to do things independently or in a way that feels most comfortable for them. Offering help without imposing can be a great way to show respect, always remembering that the answer might be no, which should be accepted without insisting. 12. Do you get sarcasm? That was a joke. Sarcasm can be confusing for some autistic people, which can create awkwardness in conversations. If you realize that a joke or sarcastic comment wasn't understood, it's best to explain kindly without making the person feel awkward. Being straightforward and clear is often the best way to communicate. 13. Autism is caused by the parents, right? This myth comes from a time when autism was poorly understood. Today, we know that it has complex genetic and environmental causes, and no one caused the autism. Asking this is invasive and carries unnecessary emotional weight. The kindest approach is to avoid any conversation that suggests blame, as it is both unfounded and hurtful. 14. Can you have a job? Many autistic people have successful careers and work in a wide range of fields. This question assumes limitations, as though autism automatically prevents someone from working or advancing professionally. The best approach is not to doubt anyone's abilities, autistic or not. Instead, show support for autistic people's achievements and aspirations. 15. Do you take medication for autism? This is a personal and sensitive topic, and asking about medication can feel intrusive. Also, autism isn't cured with medication. Some might use medication for specific symptoms, but not to treat autism itself. Rather than questioning medications, it's more respectful to let the person decide whether or not to discuss this topic, without pushing for details that they might prefer to keep private. That's it for today, everyone. I hope this video helped you see how some phrases, even if well-intentioned, can come across as disrespectful or even harmful. By making small changes in how we speak, we can become more welcoming and respect each individual's unique identity, building a more inclusive and empathetic way of communicating. Leave a comment below. Your input is super valuable to this conversation and helps us all learn from each other. And if you liked this video, consider subscribing to the channel to keep up with more content like this. Together, we can make a difference through empathy and understanding. Thank you for being here, and see you next time. Let's keep moving forward with respect, creating a more inclusive future.